Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our first TechSpert Sync Up, Building a Sustainable Business with Adi Kaimovitz. So today, I want to welcome you all, and we are looking forward to the masterclass for today. I do think that we will be having a fantastic session, and we're in for a treat. But before I do want to say, before we do start, I do want to say that it is a fairly interactive session, and want to invite you guys after the chat and the workshop presentation by Adi to go into the Q&A, drop your questions. Masterclass is for you to learn, for you to grab those wisdom that you're looking for, and to clarify where you need clarification. So even afterwards, if we don't get to your questions, we will find a way whereby the content is online, but the speaker will be able to come on and answer those. So do place your questions there and give the ones that you want answered a thumbs up, and we'll start with those. But without further ado, we are in a world where global GDP is expected to shrink by 3 to 5% this year. And South Africa has announced that it's looking at about 7 to 11% GDP shrinking. So as businesses, it's very key to leverage tools that squeeze out ever more profits and build sustainable businesses. We have here today TechSpert Adi Kaimovitz, founder and CEO of global consulting firm Virtual Actuary, to give us a masterclass on how to build a sustainable business by operating lean, using outsource models and tax-savvy approaches. So over to you, Adi. I'm very much looking forward to this session and enjoy, everyone. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for the lovely introduction, Buntu, and everybody else that is involved in the Innovation Summit. It's my first summit. I have no idea how I got to this point that I was invited to do a masterclass. The reality is that I myself am actually just trying to survive and sustain myself. So, I think this is kind of like, it's almost like you ask a soldier that comes back from war, what did you do? So they kind of tell you, well, I try to survive. I tried not to carry too much weight and and not get hit. so hopefully
survive itself is something to look forward to.
Absolutely. Okay. So we'll structure it a little bit. And I'm Adi Kaimovitz. I'm involved with a business called Virtual Actuary. I did start the business, but in fact, I'm just a participant in quite a big business at the moment. So if I can actually keep up with everybody else that's involved, that's great. Okay, so if we look at a sustainable business, what exactly are we talking about? We're talking about a business that can take a big knock, a business that isn't expense heavy, a business that isn't too reliant on other people, a business that isn't going to drown easily. You can't go month by month and just kind of scrape by, and that's okay. You can't have massive loans, massive investors, and ultimately you're just taking a small portion, because in essence, you have to almost go back to the beginning to say, how do we build a sustainable business that will last? Okay, so this is kind of like what we did. So let's look at the different types of business models that you can actually have as a business before you even get started. So the first one is a big corporate. We all know how the big corporates work, massive buildings, big bank accounts, a lot of people on salaries, a lot of people working in different departments. And in essence, what happens is eventually the clients will pay the business. The business will make money. But in essence, then what happens is the business makes the money, the business pays salaries and expenses and bonuses, but the business itself takes home most of the money. Okay, that's a big corporate. the corporate ladder, you try and build your way up. Okay, fair enough. The second type of organization that we're talking about is a small boutique corporate, very similar to a big corporate in that you'll bring, 2 or 3 or 4 people together. It's okay, guys, this is, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it's going to work. We all need to have salaries. We need to hire a certain amount of people. When, the business makes money, there'll be a bonus pool, but everyone's on a salary and everybody shares the expenses. The problem with that is that in essence, you've got a lot of salaries to carry. If some of the partners aren't pulling their weight, they're equity partners, you're splitting it 4 ways, 5 ways down the middle anyway. So you've got a small boutique corporate, which is actually the one that most people open when they're looking to open a small business. It's almost like the only one that you know, okay? The second type of entity that one can operate as is being an independent person, consultant or product, somebody who builds stuff or somebody that does something, but in essence, you're working by yourself. Okay, so you're an independent, what one calls the gig economy, okay, which is quite popular these days. Then you have the fourth one, which we push, which we use, is called an organized collaborative, or what is commonly known as a consortium. So how it works as a consortium is really that, and in fact, let me actually go to my next slide. Organized collaborative business models and how they can work for you. So what the organized collaborative consortium says is that if you can bring together 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people that have an ability to do something, then they're not guaranteed salaries, and people, they don't share the expenses, but rather when a client pays, when money comes into the business, the consortium will split the money. It's very, very different, because what it means is that everybody has to play their part to be able to make sure that in essence a client somewhere down the line pays. So if you can operate as an organized collaborative, a consortium, in essence what you're doing is you're making sure that you're not carrying expenses unnecessarily. The business itself sure has the contracts with the clients, and the business itself takes on the expenses, but it's not like a shared expenses that everybody pays. So the business just takes a portion, a very small portion of when the collaborative makes money. So working as a consortium, in my opinion, is better because then everybody does their share, and when the client pays, you split the money by those that were involved in that particular job. It's a long topic. I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole, but working as an organized collaborative is how virtual actuary works. We're a consortium of actuaries that all work together on certain projects, and those that worked on that project get paid when that client pays. Okay, so one looks at how do you fund the various businesses. Now, normally with a big corporate or a small boutique corporate, a lot of it is runways, salaries, how do we pay for the expenses? With an organized collaborative, because you're not carrying the weight of all the expenses, you don't really need much funding at all. Your vision really is, if we can get a client to utilize our services, or if we can get a client to buy our product, and you have to expense petrol to drive there, okay, fine, fair enough. We're not going to pay you for the petrol up front. We're not going to pay you for the warehousing up front, but when that client pays, we'll then pay you for the warehousing. We'll then pay you for the petrol. It's a consortium. Okay, so from a funding perspective, in my opinion, the organized collaborative is significantly better. Then the real trick in an organized collaborative and a consortium is the peer review nurturing system for scalability. So what that means is that, let's say somebody has an ability to do something for the consortium. If they can source work that comes in, they don't themselves have to be able to do it. But if somebody in the consortium can do it, then they can get a portion of when the client pays, which is fair to the fact that they brought that work in. You see how working in a consortium is a lot better, because it means together you can operate as a big business without you specifically needing to know how that specific one thing works, because you bring it into the consortium, but it's very organized. Okay, fine, we'll move on. The lean mindset and flash teams. So the lean mindset really means that you rather don't spend the money on the fancy stuff, but rather you really focus on, in order to get a paying client to buy the product or to pay for the service, what do we actually need? You know, we started talking about this 4 years ago. And do you really need big fancy offices? Well, not really, you know, to get the client to buy something from you. They don't really care where you are. So I think that Amazon is an excellent example of that, because, you know, Amazon killed the retail market, because what they were saying is, we're a lean business. The client wants to buy a product. So let's show them the product. Let's get that product to them. And when they pay, we'll make money. We're a lean business. They don't need unnecessary office space. So the lean mindset really is, do you have to travel business class? Do you have to have fancy office parties? Do you need to have the most unbelievable corridors and glass corridors and blinds and big fancy reception areas? Not really. So if you operate as a lean business, the lean business is not there to be cheap. The lean business is there to take a massive hit and to be able to survive that hit. Because when that hit comes, like now, do you have lots of salaries that you're paying? Do you have massive offices? Do you have a fleet of trucks? You could always have outsourced the fleet of trucks to somebody that has a fleet of trucks. You're a lean business. When that business comes in and you want to outsource to the fleet of trucks, whatever, they'll make money. So my point is that really, to be a lean business is to save money from the get-go. What is essential? The second question, and the question is asked, is it even possible for a normal business to compete with a lean business? No, because they carry, when the lean business provides the product, because it's not carrying the expenses, the product can be more affordable to the client. And I don't believe that a business that is not a lean business can keep up with a lean business, especially if the quality is identical. So one should really focus on, are we operating as a lean business? Okay, fine. Why do the clients benefit from using a lean service or product service provider? Well, it's mainly because someone has to pay for all the excess expenditure that you're putting onto that product or service. Clients don't benefit. So somebody comes to me and they have the same quality product and they're a lean business, and somebody else has another product and they're not a lean business. I'm rather going to take the lean business product because I benefit from the fact that they operate in a lean way. You see how it works the whole way down the chain. Now, before, people didn't really care about budgets, but now they are. So now if you're operating as a lean business, it's the way to go. Okay, so flash teams. What is a flash team? A flash team really is, do you need to have 7 or 8 or 9, 10 people working in your business that are there full time? When a project comes in, then hire a flash team. Come in, do the work, thank you very much, and goodbye. So if your business can operate as a flash team, Stanford University did a whole study on flash teams, and it's kind of like the future of work is we'll all be flash teams eventually. So we operate as a flash team. What's nice about a flash team for the client's sake is they can scale up a project or scale down a project without having to commit to 10 bodies. If you can operate as a flash team, your key is to be able to have suppliers that you can tap into that allow you to scale your own flash team. So the whole way along the chain, the client benefits from you being a flash team, but you being able to tap into other flash teams. Okay, let's move on. Hope everybody's enjoying this. I don't know how many people are plugged in. As long as it's not just me, we're doing okay. All right. So structuring your business. Structuring your business is very, very important right from the start. And this is the one thing that I want to say about Virtual Actuary and how we structured our business. Where a lot of small businesses get it completely wrong, in my opinion, is that they have one class of share right from the beginning. They say, oh, we need funding, we need an investor, we need 2 million rand, 3 million rand, 4 million rand. Somebody says, okay, we'll buy that, we'll pay you the 4 or 5 million rand. We want to buy into your business. They buy an equal class of share. So what happens is you'll sell 20% of your business, 10%, 15%, 30%, it doesn't matter, but they buy one class of share. So The problem is that investors want to control you. They want to make as much money as possible. They want to have control of your business. That's, investors, it's their money. They want to tell you what to do. So what Virtual Actuary did is that we split our class of share into investor shares and founder shares. So the founder shares are the original shares, and the investor shares are the ones that if you want to buy into our business, it doesn't have as much sway in telling us operationally what to do. It doesn't have as many votes. So yes, we can't just spend your money. There's certain restrictions, of course, but we structured it in such a way that we can sell off 70% of the business as investor shares, and the 30% will own over 51% of the boardroom. Now, that's very, very important because, you spend all these years working for somebody else. Now you open your own business and you want investors, but then eventually you just become an employee of your own business. So you have to really be careful in how you structure the shares and how you structure the business. And all of this, what I've discussed so far is, I've got here, what is the innovative angle? Because this is a summit on innovation. So the first thing that we've spoken about is an innovative business model known as a consortium. The second one is an innovative way of running your expenses and your salaries as running as a lean business. The third one is from an innovation perspective. If you want to get funding, just be innovative in how you structure your share class. Okay, self-reliance, you as a brand. What we are saying is that right now, we are not in the corporate brand world. We are in the you as a brand world. So what that means is that you are the business. People buy from you more than they want to buy from a company. People don't really care these days what the name of the company is. They just want to know who they're dealing with. Are they reliable? Do they have credibility? Oh, and what's the name of their business? So you are the brand now. In our business as an actuary consulting business, the clients want to know who's the actuary that's doing the work. So it used to be that customers used to buy from the consultancy, and who did the work was inconsequential. Now, customers want to buy from, say, Tina, who they trust, and where she works is inconsequential. Isn't that amazing? Just makes perfect sense. Now, another thing that, before COVID-19, we were talking about, you've been working for 15 years at a big corporate. So you cannot hide behind the big corporate. The big corporate might not always be there. So if you don't create you as a brand, what you've been involved in, the projects you've done, the sort of services you're an expert in, the product lines that you're an expert in, if you cannot create the you brand, then what happens is if your business disappears, then you've been building up and relying and hiding behind the business's name. But who are you as a professional? What are the services and the product knowledge lessons that you've learned that you can carry forward as an entity in and of yourself? So I believe we are in the you as a brand world. And how do you begin the process of being you as a brand? So we'll go into networking online, but you as a brand really is your show and tell online, your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook stuff, your Instagram. This is what we do if you're a plumber. This is who we are. This is what we're involved in. These days, you can almost even, take a white label product and label it as your own. People do that. So it's more that people want to buy from you as the brand. So how you begin the process is you begin today. You go online, you create fantastic profiles, make it look nice, make it look respectable. But just like a shop window, it has to really show the clients what you've been involved in. You as a brand also goes deeper. If you are going to be the brand, this morning in preparation for this talk today, I have a home gym. I was exercising. Very, very important for me to have exercised. I had a little bit to eat. Now, people want to see that if they're going to be trusting you as a brand, you don't look like you've been sitting on the couch all night long, not shaven, or that that your hair's not messy. Because if people are going to be buying into your credibility factor, they want to see that your brand goes deeper than that that you actually believe in something meaningful, that if you talk about charity stuff, that you're actually doing it. So you as a brand actually goes deeper. You can't fool people behind the company logo. Okay, fine. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Let's just take a moment to say, what a time to be alive. I mean, look at where we are. This is my little home studio. Fantastic. Okay, but I've been gearing up to working from home for a long time. All right, I got a bit of a head start. Networking. It's not what you know. So networking is not really about making friends. Okay, it's you're not networking to make friends. The reason why you're networking is because you want to be able to pick up work. You want to be able to tell people in your industry, this is who I am, this is what I'm involved in. You could almost say that LinkedIn is very similar to going into the foyer of a conference and mingling with people and saying, what do you do? What are you involved in? Oh, very nice. Give me a business card. So that's really what networking is about. You've got your social networks. They're not really social networks. It's actually business online. That's really what it is. It's business online. It's not about, I'm not really into social networks. People talk about how much screen time. I'm on the screen 24/7. I push my daughter to be on the screen 24/7. She can read, she knows all of her colors. So my point is it's not social networking, it's business online. And we're all online now. So networking is really about having an excellent network that you can tell them about what you do. Networking is also about talking to the right people about work-related stuff. Because if you're going to be building a sustainable business, your whole mindset should really be, I want to build a great brand. I want people to know what we do. When I meet with people and I interact with people, am I talking about the haka and the rugby and the cricket? And I don't have those conversations. I'm curious. I want to know, what are you involved in? What type of work are you doing? What lessons have you learned? Did you find a shortcut to do something? So what kind of conversations are you having? Because in essence, if you're networking and business is going well, you just never know when you're going to bump into somebody and you're talking business and what are you involved in. So networking is really about having the right conversations about work. Okay. And not sounding big-headed. We're going to take over the world. This is what we do. This is what it's about. Sure, we have ambitions. So my point is, stop talking about sport. Okay. There are also ethics in presenting yourself online correctly, respectfully. There's a reason I'm not wearing a t-shirt, because people want to see that if they're going to be connecting with you, you come across as of a certain caliber. People like that. So there's also ethics. You can't be connecting with somebody and then 2 seconds later you're sending them a profile of your services. People don't like that. I just delete people immediately. So there's a certain quorum in how you operate and how you network. What kind of content are you putting out there? I don't believe LinkedIn is the place to put political stuff. It's really about, this is our brand, this is what it's about. I also like to put out, I'm a kite surfer, I do motocross as well. I just bought a bike. So this is my journey about trying to ride a bike and not kill myself. Why? Because I love what it sounds like when I just crank that accelerator, and it just makes me into a better business person. So I talk about the experience of being a new motocross rider. It's business. So what kind of content? It's positive, in my opinion, as long as I don't kill myself. Okay, fine. People skills. I'm going to read it. It says, attracting like-minded colleagues, winning clients, signing deals, and getting paid on time. We could have a whole conversation just on that. All right. So attracting the right kind of people into your consortium. If you can paint a picture to those that might want to join a consortium with you, that you're hardworking, you talk business, you have good intentions, you want them to make most of the money, you're happy to share, you will attract like-minded people. People that feel that your journey is a great journey. Okay, so attracting like-minded people into your consortium is very, very important. You can't have people that you phone them 5 times and they don't phone you back, or at least message you. So making sure that those that you bring into your consortium are not going to let you down, because you're not going to let them down. Winning clients. Winning clients is very, very important. In fact, if we even go back to I need funding, Virtual Actuary as a business is still self-funded. We've built since the beginning of 2018 about 65 million rand in revenue. Since then, I think we're going to probably have a 40 million rand year at the end in February, up until February next year. So I think any investor is just going to want to know, how are you going to win clients? You can forget everything else about anything else that anyone ever says to you. But winning clients that are paying is more important than anything. Because if you don't even have paying clients, then you're not going to attract investors. And even if you attract investors, the first question they're going to ask you is, how can we get more clients? Winning clients is very, very important. So you have to have the right people skills when you're interacting with clients. Signing deals is very, very important. Signing deals really goes to, as a business, a sustainable business, you have to have all your documentation in place. Your invoicing up to date, all your contracts up to date. Excuse me, you need to make sure that at any stage, if a client says, I want to buy from you today, boom, immediately you have an NDA template. You have a website, you've got everything up and running so that that client, you got your delivery contracts with your suppliers, etc., etc. So signing deals is critical. You know, if I say to you right now, I want to buy your product today, can you get it to me? How soon can you get it? Send me the documents. You could, now that's not the time to, oh, I've got a client, I better go to the bank, open a bank account. You know, oh, I need to be VAT registered. You got to find out all that stuff before. Getting paid on time is also very, very important. If you want to be a sustainable business, we negotiate on invoice at the end of the month, pay within 7 days. Now, as ridiculous as that sounds, personally, I would rather say to a client, I'm sorry, but I can't service you because we need to pay the consortium when we get paid. And if you can't pay me within 7 days, then they can't wait for their money. So I'd rather, I can't work with you. So getting paid on time is very, very important. It's about being brave. You want to be a sustainable business. Imagine going into COVID and people owe you R1 million. I have no doubt. And I just want to say, how sorry I am for anybody that is plugged in, that has had their life taken away from them because COVID kicked in. And you're now completely lost and you've lost money and you don't know what's going on. I just want to say, I'm very sorry. Things to consider when juggling your business needs. The reason I say needs is because there's needs and there's luxury. If you're going to bring a product into the market, make it a minimal viable product, a product that is good enough for somebody to buy, and then you can start tweaking and making it better. So when you're looking at, do we need this piece of software? Do we need this automated thing? Do we need fancy branding on our cars? No, you don't. You just need a car that can deliver and a driver that can deliver. Don't worry about the fancy branding. You just need to get your product to the person, or send that in an Uber. You don't need the fancy car yet, etc., etc. So what are the needs? What do you need to get the client to get the product so that they can pay you so that you can grow? So things to consider when juggling your business needs really is, don't worry about looking amazing. Don't worry about all the fancy stuff. I'll finish off on this note. Having a sustainable business means that you just want to get a good quality product to the client. All the bells and whistles and all the fancy stuff, that's just extra. Yes, you want the packaging to be nice, but if you're just getting started and the client is buying the product, don't worry about spending 3 months making sure that your product looks like gold in the packaging when it arrives, because that's your level of service. Well, the clients are going to use your product. Don't worry about the packaging. Packaging will grow in time. So it's really about needs versus luxury. Luxury can come later. We've built up the luxury. I mean, we didn't start off with a studio like this. We didn't start off this kind of business. We started off, I worked in a flat in Sea Point. We bought a house now, sure. But we grew it over time, and now we look better. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's what it comes down to, building a sustainable business. There's so much to say. I hope that you got a lot out of that. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Adi. That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you. I did see, some of the guys commenting about how enlightening as well as insightful the models are, because they've had to rethink the normal ways of doing business in this time, and some of the models you're bringing in are a rethink. There's a question here that I would like to pose to you. We are in the Q&A. Please, guys, feel free to jump in if you do have questions. But from Izera, he's asking, how much does technology play a role in going forward and in your business and in how you're operating? How big of a role and what kind of role is technology playing?
It's absolutely everything, and it goes into the topic of the fourth industrial revolution. So what has the fourth industrial revolution done? It means that the man or the woman on the street, like me and you, can buy technology at an affordable price and is able to compete with the big corporates that in the past, 10, 15 years ago, were the only ones that were able to offer that product or service to the client. So technology is absolutely everything. Technology is a tool for the new age business person to be able to offer a similar product or service to the client. And the barrier to entry is very minimal. So technology is absolutely everything. What do you think it would have cost 10, 15 years ago to have a studio that you could broadcast and present at a summit? Well, TV wasn't that expensive. The stand, the cameras, I've got GoPros, I've got a Logitech 4K. How's that quality, eh? And the big screens and everything, amazing. It's affordable. So technology is the reason why you have no more excuses why you cannot compete with the big corporates. Especially, a big shout out to our partners, AWS. They allow us to have cloud computing, where before, Henry, love you, man, you wouldn't be able to compete with the big four consultancies if you didn't have a 5 million rand server in the basement. AWS takes us to that next level on a pay-as-you-go type system. Amazing. So technology is critical.
Fantastic. And as you're working in your business, how are you guys leveraging technology and in order to scale and remain sustainable, especially in this time?
So let's look at a very simple example, like an app like Slack or Zoom. So back in the day, if you wanted to collaborate with your colleagues, you would all need to be sitting in a room together. You'd have to drive there, you'd have to sit in the room, everybody would work, and then you would go home. Now we have programs like Slack, programs like Zoom. You can share screens. You can even do, there goes my camera. You can even do remote tapping into somebody's computer. So if we've got some of the peer review, the senior actuaries that are working with the juniors and they have a problem, they can say, okay, look, just share screens. Okay, let me just have access to your computer. This is how this works. This is how that works. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you very much. So we're leveraging technology to be able to work as a remote workforce. We have actuaries all over the world. Obviously, the time difference is a little bit tricky, but our whole business is technology driven in how we tap into the client's servers, not having to drive there. We do a lot of the stuff we do is physical, meeting with the clients and going to sit there, and our actuaries do work inside the client's offices, yes. But a lot of it is done remotely because it's just unnecessary to be there. So we leverage technology a lot. I'm the air traffic controller because let's say, I've had situations, people come to a boardroom meeting, they go to the wrong building. So no problem. I'll send you the Zoom link to your WhatsApp. Just plug in, put yourself on mute. You can listen in, and the 15 minutes or the 10 minutes going to take you to drive around to the other building, check in, and whatever. You got your headphones and you can still listen to what's happening in the boardroom. So technology is critical in the fourth industrial revolution to be able to operate. Obviously, it's really like any DIY person. It's about having a lot of tools in order to build that, dollhouse for your daughter. Instead of going and buying a fancy dollhouse, it's about using those tools so that the end product is you're a person that has a business, or you're a person that makes money, or the person that has built a dollhouse for the daughter.
Powerful. I think another powerful aspect you touched on, I see here, had some interest, is around the class shares and the innovative ways you mentioned on raising finance. I think this is actually a big opportunity in an ecosystem where finance is not, lush and easy to come by, in order to help companies scale in Africa. So what's your view on how, becoming more sustainable, especially in this time, can entrepreneurs do to be more innovative on how they fundraise, and your view on say that model in Africa, your advice to entrepreneurs and business people on raising money with that model?
So the first thing is, why do you need the money? That's the first thing. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to say to somebody, I need a product built and I will give you shares in the business. Try to hold back on just vomiting out, I will give you shares, I will sell my shares to you, I will split my business with you, I will bring you in to share in my profit. Because the key really is, you're the playmaker, you're the one with the big ideas. So the first thing you need to understand is, why do you need the money? You cannot say to me, well, I need the money because I want to pay myself a salary, and we need office space, and we need receptionists, and we need somebody to answer the telephone. No. You cannot start a business if you cannot pay for your own expenses at home. So the key really is, if you want to start a business, it is more worth your while to rather work for somebody else and start the business in the evenings with your spare money and paying the developers to build a certain product. Because if you're going to go to an investor, rather go with something first instead of saying I'm at ground zero and I just have this idea. So my philosophy on what you're saying is as follows. At every single stage of potential raising, I always imagined, if I went to an investor now and said to them, I want to bring you into the business, this is how much money I need, they will say to me, what do you need the money for? If I give you that money, what will it allow you to achieve? So if I can imagine that, what will it allow me to achieve? I go and I try and do that. Then I come back to them having achieved that, to say, now that I've achieved this, if I was going to bring you in now and you gave me money, they say, well, we want to see that you have 20 clients. So then I go find 20 clients. Then I come back. So the whole time I imagine, as if I went to an investor, what would they want me to do with their money? And I try and find a way to do that without doing the raise. We've probably jumped over 5 rounds of raising to get to this point without having done a round of raising yet. Because I would much rather only do a round of raising once I've passed all those rounds. Somehow we were able to get to this point. So the key really is, try and jump over as many rounds of raising without doing the raising.
I couldn't agree more. I think the emphasis on building the business using the customer's funds as the best way to build the business is priority number one. And then when you do want to step on the fuel, you should be going there already with that kind of traction in mind, and be able to achieve what you want to achieve, or at least it's just going to get you there faster. It's not necessarily a limiter to get the funds. So I think the most of the points here really found the session insightful. We are on time, and I do just want to give last 30 seconds for your closing words, Adi. Thank you so much. and what's your last view on how the guys can stay sustainable and think sustainable and lean going forward? In quick, please.
My last view is this: stop the drinking, stop the braais and the get-togethers on the Sundays and the Saturday nights and the Friday nights. Real business people stay at home. They go to sleep early. They eat healthy. They wake up early. They exercise. They take their social life and they put it aside for now. They dig deep. They sacrifice. You build your business. And then if you want to socialize 5 years down the line, you can. But unfortunately, you can't do both. So if you want to be a business person with a sustainable business, you can't have a sustainable social life.
Thank you so much, Adi. And thank you everyone for joining. You had it here. It's a really deep journey, one from inside, and it's expressive of your life. So thank you very much for joining, and take care, everyone. Goodbye.